industry is facing its Me Too moment. Country music star Garth Brooks has been accused of raping and sexually harassing his former makeup artist in a lawsuit filed in California on Thursday. The alleged victim, identified as Jane Roe in the suit, claims Brooks raped her in a Los Angeles hotel room in 2019. The complaint says that Brooks and Roe flew to LA for his recording of a Grammy Award tribute, but Brooks and Roe were the only people on the private jet, and when they got to the hotel in LA, Roe became aware that Brooks only booked one room for them to share.
The suit says in that room, Brooks physically overpowered Roe and raped her and held her upside down by her feet. Roe says she suffered so much trauma from this that she contemplated suicide. The lawsuit also claims that Brooke would sexually harass Roe while she worked for him, including describing his sexual fantasies and groping her breasts. In one instance, Roe claims Brooks walked out of the shower naked and asked Roe to perform oral sex on him. According to the suit, Roe says she pulled away and said no. Okay, so there's a lot here, and he has also filed a countersuit because he has claimed that she was sending letters, basically threatening to sue him if she did not get paid by him, and then she, of course, did so, and she found an attorney. He also supposedly received texts from somebody that they don't know, cryptic texts saying that he was ruining their lives. It seems that might have been Roe's husband, but we're not really sure. You know, these are the kinds of things that come out in court proceedings, but he's claiming that he's being extorted and that she also threatened to kill him.
Yeah, there's a bit here in his countersuit that we can read from. So it says that in July of 2024, he first received this demand letter, which was the first time he learned of the allegations, and the defendant threatened to publicly file an enclosed draft civil complaint repeating the fabricated allegations unless Garth Brooks agreed to pay Jane Roe millions of dollars not to file suit. The letter also referred to various celebrity sexual misconduct lawsuits featuring multi-million-dollar jury awards. So obviously, we don't know if she is telling the truth or not, but typically, if you're going to bring forward a complaint of this nature, it's typically not a good idea for your own credibility to send a letter to the person you're accusing prior to filing suit and suggesting that they need to pay you out millions of dollars.
100%. And whoever her lawyer is, or whoever wrote that demand letter as a lawyer, should probably lose his license, frankly.
Right.
I mean, that is such poor advice. True or not, you don't do it that way. Because, as you said, it immediately ruins your credibility. And it gives him more power in this suit, in this countersuit. I mean, a lot of the stuff that she's claiming can probably be proven, some of the stuff at least, through flight records. You know, she says that they shared a hotel room and that she didn't have a hotel room. I'm sure that there's plenty of documentation that could prove so. I mean, if they did share a hotel room, not a great look. But also doesn't say that he raped her.
Right.
You know, there has to be so much circumstantial evidence to prove a situation like this, and it's real. It gets very detailed. I mean, we've seen this play out time and time again in the last, couple of years. What's also interesting to me is this happened in 2019, which is post-Me Too. So I'm not saying that's an excuse, because people who act out sexually, I don't think they're necessarily thinking of Me Too, but celebrities definitely probably have it on their mind. And they've known each other for what was it, like over 15 years or so?
Right.
She was working for his wife, and she had some financial issues in 2019, and he offered to provide her with more work to help her. So, there's lots of things at play here that lawyers are going to bring up. We don't know. Obviously, it's going to be played out in the court of law, and a lot of it will probably be sealed because it's private information. But lawyers get really tough in these situations. They ask about, the person's sexual history, about their mental health. They bring in psychologists. They go through your phone records, potentially. They go through your bank records. It is no joke. So when you open up a claim like this, you really want to have the best legal advice possible because it's going to disrupt your life in so many ways. Her name will definitely come out.
Sure.
It'll definitely come out. And that'll affect her potential work. But if she's correct, she should have the best legal guidance to make her case. And right now, that legal guidance, it was just sloppy.
Exactly. I mean, they're also going to have to prove if there was sort of some kind of sexual contact that it was not consensual,
right,
which is incredibly difficult to do, especially if she did not get tested or have a rape kit done after this incident supposedly occurred, because she says in her complaint that she felt like she was being ripped in half, like this was such a violent assault on her. So if she had a rape kit done, it would have shown that. But I haven't seen any indication that any kind of forensic evidence was collected from the time, which is another complicating factor in proving or disproving these claims. And from Garth Brooks's perspective, I guess outside of whether it's a good legal judgment, if she is looking for a payday, maybe it was the right move for her to try to send him this threatening letter, because most people hear they're being accused of sexual assault or rape and just want it to go away, because they know, regardless of whether or not the allegations are true, once they hit the public sphere, a lot of people are going to assume they're true, particularly because of some of the overreaches of the Me Too movement. And a lot of men are just assumed to be, the aggressor. And his reputation is going to take a hit regardless of what shakes out from this. I mean, we've seen cases where men have been vindicated, 4 or 5 years on, but at that point, nobody's paying attention anymore. So I actually give him props, if this is not true, to not play into the blackmail thing and to say, no, actually, let's take this to court and let's let this shake out. I mean, to me, that suggests that he deserves probably a good amount of credulity in terms of his claims that he's making in response.
Well, the other thing is he has these letters, which, again, are legal letters. A demand letter is from a lawyer who knows very well that blackmail ain't going to pass, right? But in the other letter, the second letter, she had a plot to kill him. And if that's in writing, I mean, that was the alarm. That's what really rang the alarm for me. Was if she has it in writing that she was plotting to kill him, we're dealing with a completely different situation here. She also demanded a jury, and we understand how that plays in the court of law. Me Too is complicated. Rape kits, yes, they're valuable, but most people that are raped do not immediately think of going to get a rape kit. They're traumatized. A lot of times the trauma comes up later. A lot of times they go through therapy and there are people who forget that they were raped. That comes up 20 years later because they never really processed it as a rape, because it was a control issue, or society hadn't really had this conversation enough at the time. And now we're much more equipped, I think, as a society to discuss these things. But again, rape kits, yes, they can be valuable, but it's very rare that you have that kind of evidence, which is also why these cases are so complicated, and you have to go through all these other factors. But it is going to open up, and he obviously has the money to do so, and he's pushing back hard. But that plot to kill thing, yeah,
wild.
Lost me there.
And there's two other things that I find interesting about this, one of which is he has been a top entertainer since the 80s, right?
I went to his concert when I was 12 years old, and I felt so special when I went to school the next day and got to wear his t-shirt, the concert t-shirt. It was like the coolest thing in the world.
And for what it's worth, I listen to country music radio almost every day driving in, and they were playing his songs. So he's not canceled yet. Clearly people are just as skeptical as we are. But that being said, like with the Harvey Weinstein issue and the P. Diddy issue, as soon as one allegation dropped, it opened up a floodgate, and people were talking about how this was all an open secret. Everybody knew, but was scared to say anything. At least yet, I mean, it's only been a day. We haven't seen the same reaction to Garth Brooks being accused. There hasn't been another woman that's come forward. There hasn't been this, oh, I'm not surprised kind of reaction. It's actually been kind of the opposite, where people are pretty shocked by it. So that's a little interesting to me, because usually where there's smoke, there's fire. It's very rare that this is not a pattern of behavior for men who are engaged in sexual harassment and assault. And then the other part of this is his wife and him have been married, obviously, for a very long time. If he was stepping out on her on a regular basis, I think a lot of people would be very disappointed by that, because she has this little cooking show. He comes on. They're very sweet. They've been so in love for so long.
And they're supporting Kamala Harris. One last thing, just to close us off, is we don't know what's happening here. The red flags for me were obviously just the plot to kill and some of the legal tactics. But if it is what he says it is, this hurts the Me Too movement. We cannot have the Me Too movement being weaponized. There are victims who are afraid to come forward, and if they see the kind of pushback that you get from a society when doing so, or it being weaponized, it's no longer as valuable to come forward. So, that's my biggest concern in the situation, is just
that it hurts real victims. Yeah, absolutely. And that was a problem during Me Too. I mean, with like the Aziz Ansari article that was published in Babe.net, that did more to hurt legitimate victims. And a lot of other things that happened during that time period. We're going to have to leave it there because we have a lot more topics to talk about on Rising, but we will be back right after this short break.